Alright, I woke up this morning and I got a review key for Rogue Legacy 2. Now, I didn't like the first game that much. I thought the combat was very just basic and boring. It was definitely more about stats. I mean, you definitely could beat things with skill, but the combat just didn't really grab me. Here, they've improved it quite a bit, and as you can see here, this is an early access game, so there's going to be more added to it, I'm sure, down the line. Right now, there's only 3 classes. There's 4 classes. There's the Knight, who's the basic class, the default class. There's the Mage, the Archer, and the Barbarian. There's going to be more coming. So, unlike most of the other roguelikes I play, this is a game where you're expected to die, and you're supposed to die frequently. So I'm just going to do a couple of attempts here, see what happens. I went to go visit the kitties, so I backed out of this seed. So that's why I just kind of went straight in without showing any of the new stuff. Or any of the non-gameplay things. I still think this run animation is so derpy. I really don't like it. To each his own, I guess. One thing, my biggest gripe with this game so far, and this is something you can easily fix with Steam Big Picture Mode, is that it forces you to use the analog stick, and since I'm an old fart, I don't like playing any 2D game with the analog stick, if possible. I'm sure they're going to get a lot of complaints about that come when the main release happens in a week, but if you're not used to doing big picture mode stuff, it can be a little bit awkward. I'm playing with it right now, I'm kind of grinning and bearing it, but the options in general are quite limited. You cannot change your movement at all. They showed much cooler combat in the trailers than what you can do currently, so I'm sure they'll improve it. But I don't really know what the general consensus was for Rogue Legacy. I know that some people didn't like the grind. I thought the grind was actually kind of interesting, and there was a lot of strategy to how you died. Most games there's not really a strategic element to dying, but in the first Rogue Legacy there was. Like you could pick a character that had really terrible traits, but they would generate more gold, or they would be more suited for a boss fight than combat, or vice versa, so you could use them to get other things. But the combat wasn't really that great. I think it could definitely do with, like, chains instead of just one attack. That's kind of what still feels not that ideal for me, at least. So these are heirlooms. These are like persistent bonuses. I got 2 of them already. I got one which was a dash, and then I got one that was being able to listen to the little blue lights, the spirits or whatever. I guess there's no more because there was not one there. They're like little scripted challenges. They're actually not randomized, which I think is cool. The sprite is also quite fat too, so you can't, like... Sometimes it feels like you can't dodge things as well as you'd like, because the sprite in the hitbox is so big. But there's actually a trait that makes it you can only get hit in the heart, which is kind of cool. It's like a Don Maku shmup kind of hitbox. Okay, so what do I have here? A couple of traits I haven't seen before. I don't really like the Ranger. It's not like run and gun, you have to aim and stuff. It feels really awkward. I'm sure some people will like it, but I definitely don't like it at all. I really only like playing the Mage and the Barbarian. Not the Mage, but I only like playing the Barbarian and the Knight. Everyone else is just kind of whatever to me. What's weird is that you can navigate the menus with the D-pad, but you can't move that way. You can't do the movement with it, which is a little bit nonsensical, but I'm sure it'll get improved in due time. So since this was early access, you won't be able to kind of brute force your way to the better stuff. Seems like this is going to be the kind of game where you can probably play it for a decent amount of time per patch and have everything maxed out. And what's kind of interesting about this game as an early access is the concept is going to be different than a lot of other early access roguelikes or early access games in general. You're not going to be able to grind up currency and just go straight into an update and buy everything. You're still going to have to actually play the game, but on the main page it says that the first major update is supposed to be in like 65 days. This is recorded on the 11th. They gave me the code on the 11th, which is a week before the release date. So it's going to be about 2 months between patches, and I'm sure they're going to be doing minor updates as well, but major updates are going to be at least 2 months, it seems. So you will be able to pretty much grind all this stuff out. I actually have already seen the first boss, but he is the only boss in the game, and I also did not have enough damage to really take him out effectively. Numbers are exaggerated. It's an interesting one. So in terms of new mechanics, you have this like cloud step type thing. If you've played the Messenger, it's very similar. You have to hit something and then you get an extra jump, but it's not an actual jump, it's more like you just get an extra bounce. So kind of similar to the Messenger's cloud step mechanic, but not quite. Damn, there are two hells in there. 2 meats. The traits are as interesting as ever. There are definitely some I could see them probably turning off in the future, like the ones that make the game blurry and stuff. I'm sure they're going to have better accessibility later on, but some of them are pretty interesting. Like I did this room for the Heirloom to talk to the spirits, and the first time I actually had to use the bounce off the flaming chain balls to get up there, to get through the platforming, but on the second time where I actually cleared it, I actually had a character that could super jump, so I don't remember if it was a boy or a girl, but they were able to basically bypass that entire platforming section. I've always liked that dynamic of the Rogue Legacy games, it's just the combat wasn't really my thing. I think it'll definitely improve over time. I know people are always really apprehensive towards early access games because, you know, I've definitely been burnt. I bought a couple early access games that didn't deliver. You know, they just kind of ran off with the money. But, you know, these people have shipped 2 games before, so I don't really think that's going to be an issue this time. something down there. I wonder how I can get it. There we go. Thought that was pretty suspect. Meat. I could see people exhausting the content in this pretty quickly, though. There's not really that many things to upgrade. You could probably have the playstyle of just, like, not wanting to actually progress and just farm a bunch of money and then run out of things to do. There's only one boss. They said that there's 12 enemies and one boss right now, so could easily, probably brute force through that. I saw a couple of the first boss's attacks, but I didn't have any damage, and I had, like, no health going in, so I didn't get far. You know, if I had access to the boss room right now, I would definitely take that second one. I don't like how the dash has no invincibility. I think it feels kind of off. They give you like tooltips saying that every attack is dodgeable, but it definitely does feel like you get to situations where you have to dash through something and you can't. You still take damage. Well, like I said, this game is not a complete work, so I'm sure they'll improve upon those things in time. I definitely have had pretty good experience with early access roguelikes. They generally really benefit from actually not being finished. You know, Rogue Legacy came out back in like 2011 or 2012, so back then indies weren't as big as they are now, and early access wasn't used that much. I think early access can be like a blessing and a curse. There's definitely sometimes where early access doesn't really work out because they don't actually listen to the feedback, or even worse, they have no intention of actually finishing the game. There's definitely been a lot of horror stories about that kind of thing happening. But here in a game like this, I think it actually does benefit them to have, you know, feedback. Even though the game's not done, it can be influenced by people who may not be game developers themselves, like me, but have been playing games for a pretty decent part of their life, so they can actually, you know, kind of tell them what's wrong with the games and how to fix them, how to just provide a better experience overall. Since I like playing the Barbarian, I think I should probably not bother with health right now. I'm either going to go get the bonus armor or the damage. Let's go for that. Eating food hurts you. Well, that's not very pleasant. Okay, so I need to save up some gold and upgrade these. I know that Full Metal Furies didn't do that well. I played a minor part with that game. I helped them fix a bug and I gave them some feedback, but I guess they just decided it wasn't really worth working on something that wasn't doing well. I think that game had a cool concept, it's just the combat wasn't fun. There was just far too many gimmicks. And I thought maybe that was just something that I didn't like. I generally don't like action games with puzzles. I'm not averse to puzzle games. I love like Puzzle Fighter and Tetris and stuff, but when I'm playing an action game, I don't really like to be overwhelmed with that kind of thing. I feel like there's a limit to how much of that you can put into an action game before it starts to get frustrating. The enemy shields in particular were really annoying. They also had to do like this, I wouldn't call it an augmented reality, but you had to do like this big puzzle to even get the true final boss. That kind of thing is cool on paper, but it doesn't really work when you're designing a co-op beat 'em up. You know, with modern games, whether you make a modern beat 'em up too long, it's definitely an acquired taste. You know, some people that didn't grow up in the arcades, they don't like games like Fight and Rage where you can beat them in like, you know, a little over an hour just from playing the game for a decent period of time. You know, they want more meaty RPG experiences, but when you're asking people to solve really complicated puzzles and stuff, that generally does not work. Yeah, I think I got all the persistent powers already. Sure seems like it. I got 912 gold, so this run doesn't go anywhere. I'm still going to be pretty good for progress. I definitely think this game could use like an actual attack chain instead of just one attack. That's what feels kind of boring. They did show that kind of thing in the trailer, but there's nothing of the sort in the full game from what I've seen. So, basically, your generic early access message, shit's not done yet, come back later. I do feel like the grind will help kind of mitigate how painful it will be to wait, but it seems like you could get lucky with a couple of characters and grind things out pretty quickly. Like I said, the first game was a complete game from the start, so it didn't have that issue, but this one definitely will. It kind of feels like, you know, I've been playing a lot of Neo 2 on the channel lately. It kind of feels like that. You know, the next DLC for that is not going to be for like another 2 months at the earliest, so I feel like, you know, I have been playing it several times a week, not every day, but pretty consistently. But I realize, like, if I'm getting burnt out and they keep patching the game and improving things, then why should I rush through this? You might as well just wait, or kind of limit how much you play. I could see that being a problem here. You could probably blitz through the skill tree pretty quickly. I feel like some things, like maybe the weight capacity and things, may not be that great to invest into because all the items aren't in the game yet. And things like health and attack are pretty good to go for in pretty much any video game with combat in it. Okay, let's see if I can get some stuff from here. $85 shield is actually pretty good. Okay, magic damage I don't particularly need at the moment. See if she's got anything. Max mana capacity. I think I can go without that. Let's see if I can improve the weight. Oh, actually, I'm out of money right now. That's actually a pretty significant upgrade. Definitely some things that feel off, like the knight. You can't, like, parry or anything. And you can't guard cancel. Those are definitely things that I'll give them feedback about. They definitely did say that they want to make the combat more dynamic. It's gonna be crazy. I'm gonna be playing this and 30XX whenever that drops. So I'm gonna have 2 early access roguelikes that I'll be playing, and they're both games from people I can trust. I won't mention any names, but there's definitely been some early access games I thought that looked cool, and then developers just run off with the money. At least Card of Time, they did finish the game. I just think it's kind of shady that they were promising console ports and stuff, and then they never happened. But they also didn't spend their money in the wisest way either. They had like their own multiplayer server, which was a cool idea on paper, but for starters, there weren't enough active players, which can kill pretty much any online game. And the worst thing was that, you know, the game was Chinese developed, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the server was in China, so you had a lot of problems where the game was incredibly laggy. Alright, got that at least. It's pretty cruel chest placement. Oh, hitbox is too fat. I kind of like the smaller sprite. Feels like you can dodge more attacks. Your sprites is really wide in this game. Alright, I don't really like the mage or the ranger, so I'm just gonna go with the knight. It's just a generic one. No interesting traits. I think this will be the last run. I think I've shown a pretty good amount of the gameplay loop. Let's see if I can get one of those. Actually, the weight. Can I get that? Yes, I can. Good. Alright, so next up I'll be trying to get some more of those upgrades. How much money do I need? Go without that. This could be pretty nice to have. Crit damage. Crit damage and extra shield. Just need 325 gold. Should be able to manage that. Hopefully they add some more melee-focused classes. If they're not open to making the melee combat just by default more interesting by having like strings or extra properties or something, would be nice if they had one that was just melee-focused. I do feel the combat is better. It's more dynamic than the original game, but it's still not really up to what I would consider to be something I'd really put a lot of time into. Okay, so there's 2 chests here. I'm just surrounded by active hitboxes. I don't even know if I can get up there. I guess I was supposed to pole vault or do the bounce off them. I didn't get a character with a super jump trait, so that was kind of a waste. Here's something. Alright, so I got enough for that leather band upgrade, or whatever it was called. Another thing that's a little off, you know how in most roguelikes, whenever there's like a consumable item, it will stay? It actually does not do that in this game, so I definitely have come across multiple times where meat will spawn, or a mana potion will spawn, and I can't come back and get it later. This feels really off. It's a fat sprite. I wish they were skinnier. The hitbox is just gigantic. I have no idea how I would do this. Pretty sure that counts as being hit. Ah, that's dumb. I know that they're using 3D models for this game, and they're not using pixel art, so adding moves to an existing character is going to be a lot easier than it would be in the first game, where they were using... The pixel art was actually quite good. They're kind of doing like a Arc System Works type thing here, where the game looks 2D, but it's actually all 3D models. Puritan. I haven't seen this trait yet. Okay. Enemies are censored. So I need more weight capacity. Alright, well, I'm gonna go ahead and stop there instead of starting another run. The game will be out on the 18th. I'll go ahead and post a link in the description. If you are a content creator, you can apply for a key. I don't know if I was given one just because they looked at my channel, or they remember that I helped them a little bit with their last game. But I got the key. I don't know what the price will be. They have not revealed the price. Looks like it's going to be a pretty standard early access fare, where the game is relatively cheap, you know, probably like $20 or less, and then they'll increase the price as they add more content. It seems like they're not crunching themselves to death making this, which is good. You know, it's nice to have game updates as fast as possible, but it's not nice that people really hurt themselves mentally and physically making these games and stuff. So it looks like the next update is going to be in about roughly 2 months, so you'll definitely have a lot of time to grind out the skill tree. There's only one boss and there's a dozen enemies in the game right now. I guess most of the replay value in early access, at this time at least, is going to be just maxing out your skill tree, getting a decent persistent element build, and then fighting the first boss. But past that, you'll probably run out of things to do. Like I said, I don't really think Rogue Legacy, the first game, probably wouldn't have done well as an early access game just because of how long ago it came out and people weren't really used to the whole process of buying a game that's not finished and actually providing constructive feedback and criticism to make the game better. But it does feel a little bit off here. You know, it kind of feels weird that You look at my skill tree right now. I'm actually not that far off from maxing out most of this stuff. I imagine if I play at least a few hours every day, I'll probably have this maxed out, and then I'll kind of run out of things to do. There will still be runes and blueprints to find, but those are random, so however long you want to do that before you get burnt out, because there's nothing else to really unlock at that point. I guess that's just a matter of preference. But yeah, the game will be out in about a week, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.